Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you will receive alerts when there are new episodes. Go get it.
That's what I tell them. I've been grinding for so long, I wake up and chase my goals. I go out and I go get it. How to code, that's all I know. I don't succeed, then I don't breathe. Success, what does it mean? If I conquer all my goals, then I'm living out my dream. Dig deep, go out and get it. Success Chronicles. Compete until it's finished. Success Chronicles. Go take care of your business. Success Chronicles. It's deeper than just winning. Success Chronicles.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chip Baker coming to you with a topic session on the Success Chronicles. Man, truly excited to have my guy, Coach Will Compton. Man, we've done lots together on the Success Chronicles on the platform, but also lots together outside of the platform. And I'm truly grateful for this guy. You know, I think the big man brings people in your life that are truly true blessings. And he's been a true blessing in my life, and I'm grateful for him and his support throughout the years. And so, man, it's my pleasure to have him on. And the topic that we're going to talk about today is a really good one that I think will help, educators, help coaches in their process of hiring and building their culture. So, Comp, man, first, thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with me.
Oh, absolutely, man. This is something that's been kind of on my heart. For those that don't know me, my name is Will Compton. Going into my 21st year of education. I'm a son of a coach. Grew up in a field house. I'm the head football coach and boys athletic coordinator at Hutto High School, which is on the north side of Austin, just kind of right off of 130 north of Tesla. If you drive by that place, and it's just truly a blessing. This will be my third year as the head coach there, and I've known Chip for a while, so to speak, probably since back in probably 2012ish, somewhere around in there. And just being able to bounce ideas off of him, and I think our beards have kind of gotten white in about the same manner, and that wisdom's coming out together. And just this is something kind of shot some text messages back and forth about some ideas that kind of been heavy on my heart, and we've talked about different things throughout the careers. And so I thought the ideas that we're going to talk about today were some things that would be awesome to share with everybody that listens.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Definitely, we've had some wisdom come in through the time that we've known each other for sure. Our topic today is creating a positive coaching culture. And so, man, I think that, shoot, that's not just a topic session. I think that's a series. That's a whole podcast, if you will.
Yeah.
But because I think that there's lots to it. But I think that there's one thing, like when we were brainstorming on this and doing this, there's a lot that I thought of. I thought about, our backgrounds in education, our years.
Mhm.
I thought about, parents being in education. So the things that we've seen as far as the service piece, the great people that we've been blessed and fortunate to work for, work around and work with. So that we learn, we've learned so much. And then the experience of being in the fire, there's been some times where we were both in the fire and man, hey, Comp, man, how you do this? Like, what about this? And so, man, it's been great to be able to bounce some ideas. But man, let's dive into this first question. Based off of your experience, what is the optimal culture or climate for a coach in an athletic program? I mean, we can speak head coach, you can speak assistant coach.
Yeah.
Just what's the optimal culture or climate? What do you think?
I think that, the culture aspect, when we talk about this is something that culture has been a word that's been thrown around so much over probably especially probably over the past 3 to 5 years, that I think it gets lost in what culture actually is when you get into a program. It is not, for me, it's not something that you're putting on a t-shirt. It's not something that you're putting in a hashtag. It's not, yes, does that have something to do with it? Yes, it does. But, it's not just the catchphrase. And I think that culture is, for us, culture is that true feeling, that true thing that it is when you walk in the door, that feeling that you get inside of your program. You can talk about, and I talk about it inside the program because it's gonna directly translate to your coaching staff and how that goes together. So for us, it should work together. So for us, ours is F4. And that's what we base it on. So for us, our number one for F is family, and that's what we want to base our culture around. Now, if family, and we're going to talk about an optimal culture and climate. If family is your number one thing, and family is going to be your number one pillar that you're going to talk about, you know, how do your kids treat each other? When Chip Baker walks into Hutto America, and he walks into the weight room and he walks in there just as an observer, he should be able to walk around and look and see how the kids treat each other, how the coaches treat each other, how the coaches treat kids. If family is what your culture is about, and family is one of your pillar words, then family is what he should see if that's what your culture is truly about. Because if not, then all it is a catchword. All you're doing is breaking out on family. All you're doing is saying family, but that's not really where your culture is going. If family is what your culture you're talking about, but your kids are still stealing from each other, they're still robbing each other, they're still, doing all those things, they're still fighting. Are you going to fight? Are you going to argue? Absolutely. Do brothers fight with each other at the house? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are there disagreements that are going to happen? Absolutely. That's those things are going to happen. And that's and getting to understand that. And then when you take that, that into the coaching aspect, if I'm going to say that family is the base pillar of an optimal program, then am I doing everything for our coaches to make sure that their families are taken care of? And to me, that is going to lead into so much bigger things, as far as, am I making sure that our coaches are taken care of, and the fact that if a coach's mom is sick, am I making sure that he's able to go and go see her in the hospital, or he's able to take her to that doctor's appointment, and making sure that, coach's kids are sick, that he's able to stay home and not feel remorse or regret because he's going to miss that morning practice or something like that. Sure, hey man, take care of your kid. I'm going to go coach your position for you. And it's not one of those, hey, well, you can go take care of your kid after practice. That shouldn't be that's not the focus. If you're saying that family is truly where it's at. I mean, does work have to get taken care of? Absolutely, work has to get taken care of. But it's also one of those things where there's things where you can jump in as a head coach, or you can redelegate some things around to make sure that coaches are taken care of. You got to make sure that, and again, because we're talking about what the optimal thing is, to me, it's got to be a family atmosphere. I grew up in a field house. And so my kids have grown up in field houses,
Yep.
Running around. I mean, you've seen them when we were at Oak Ridge together,
Yep.
them two little boys are running around and with skateboards and all kinds of junk running through the halls and everything else. But that's the atmosphere I wanted. And, so, with that, are you making sure that, your coaches are able to go see their kids play games? If you can change the assignments to where, he's your varsity running back coach, but on Thursday night, he goes and coaches freshman football so that he can watch his freshman son play that game. Or he goes with it, and then the next year he coaches JV football so he can go watch him play in the JV game. And so, to me, those little details right there, so you're not missing games, are huge. I never wanted to miss a game. And then maybe if he's in the seventh grade, you don't give him a Thursday night assignment. If you can get it covered with everything else, you don't give him an assignment, or you let him break off a little bit early on Tuesday because they play on Tuesday nights, and do those type of things. And I think those are huge. And then on the weekends, respect people's times on the weekends. And I think that has gone a long way with us, is that, does work have to get done? Absolutely. But if we can do some things to cut some of that time down and they can get home and go spend time with their family, or, I can break it off a little bit early, and that way you can go, get out there and go watch your kids play softball, or go watch them play Pop Warner football or whatever they may be doing a little bit earlier, that's great. You know, and I think that helps create a great culture. You know, one of the things that we do here, and this is the first time I've ever done it, is we really don't meet. We don't have meetings. Very rarely will we have a meeting. We have one kind of at the beginning of the school year, at the very end. But we have a group text with all 18 coaches or whatever we have on there. And if it's before 9 o'clock, look at the group text. After 9 o'clock, it's probably some tomfoolery going on in there. Some jokes and everything else. But if it's something where if it needs to be said, hey, here's the plan for tomorrow. Boom, boom, boom. You shoot in the text message. That way, I didn't have to get you up 30 minutes earlier to tell you something I could have told you in a text message and cut out the meeting. And it keeps us organized. Or, hey, coaches, when y'all get there, check the board, got the assignments of what everybody's got to do. That's how we stay organized. And, how many times have we been in those meetings where you're like, hey, this literally could have been an email. And, everybody's saying, they're like, man, this could have been an email. And, hey, for us, creating that culture for us is that's how we do it. And does it work for everybody? No. Does it work for us? It does. And
Man,
to me, that's how we create our positive culture.
I think I wanted to kind of jump in
Yeah.
a little bit. There's some things that you mentioned, scheduling, being considerate of family, um, maximizing, minimize to maximize your time, all of those things. Like those 3 to 4 things, if coaches can do those things in their program right now, I think that's instant culture turnaround, right?
Mhm.
Because you're valuing the right things. You're valuing like you said, we're not just breaking out on family. No, bro, like go watch your kid play. like that's
Yep.
the and when you have a coach that does it, because I've seen the opposite where like it was just about the job and the head coach didn't care about anybody else. But then I've also seen, that head coach have a divorce because he didn't care about his family. So,
Yep.
like all of those things, I think you have to have your priorities in place, which helps with that culture because you are the example.
Absolutely. I mean, there is a balance. I mean,
Yep.
is there work that has to be done?
Yeah.
Absolutely, there's work that has to be done, and it's about finding that balance. With for me, you know, I don't want to take work home. And I don't want our coaches to take work home because to me, that family time needs to be your family time. And I always have the conversation with coaches that have kids, that are playing is that you know they need to be they need to be very mindful and they need to have those conversations with their kids that when you leave football at the school, don't take football home with you.
Yeah.
And that's tough, because if not, it becomes real blurry back and forth between where's dad and where's coach. And that's a big one for dads and coaches, and and I had a conversation with one of our younger coaches the other day. He's going to be a volunteer coach for us, and I was talking to him. I was like, Tristan's my oldest just graduated, and I was like, believe it or not, he's going to go be a Division I football player. I was like, we do not talk football at the house. I was like, he has a high football IQ. He understands football. He understands the game. I was like, but we don't talk football at the house. I was like, we leave that up here. I was like,
Yeah.
because when we go home, it's father-son time. I mean, we leave that there. And I told him you could have a dad or you have a coach. And, but I think that also helps the culture, inside of your program with your coaches is because now you're not having those cross lines with
Yeah.
dads and coaches as well
Yeah.
because there can be conflict there too, in the way that some coaches view the way you're coaching your kids and things like that. If it's just you treat them just the same, it becomes a great atmosphere.
Awesome, man. There was one thing that we kind of hit on and we discussed when we were talking about doing this session is just, your coaches, in a program, you want the best for your people, their family. You want your coaches to elevate and promote, but then also, when you're running a program, you want to make sure that you have high quality people in your program as well. So, just saying that makes me think about having that balance as well. What's some ways to promote your coaches, without wanting them to leave?
Yeah. No, that's a this is something that, as a young coach, all I ever wanted, it was like, when we had like a game, we did something well. All I wanted was Coach Rush be like, yeah, Coach Compton called a great game and wanted my name in the paper. I guess it's narcissistic of me, or ego or something like that. But he never would. But
Pray for
it always
Scream.
goes back. Yeah, man. It's always the kids that did great and things like that. I'd be like, man, Coach Rush would just say one time that I called a good play. I'd be really happy. But you know, uh, I think this is something that we as head coaches, and coaches in general can do a lot better job of is in promoting our assistant coaches. I think it's a lot easier now to promote our assistant coaches because the social media platforms that we
Yep.
do have, we're able to do that. I think another way that is an easy way in promoting our coaches is to do like a coach's spotlight. We're able to do that, in a weekly platform. It's a coach's spotlight, or once a month, or coach of the week, or things like that. Just the same way we do for kids.
Yeah.
It's not much different in that, and being able to highlight your coaches on something they've done. I think another way to promote your coaches, and what not many people think about this as a way to promote your coaches is by giving them assignments. And uh you know if you micromanage everything and you do it yourself, you're not promoting and growing your coaches. But if you make them in charge of recruiting, if you make them in charge of community relations, if you make them in charge of this, then that gives you opportunities to congratulate them on good jobs. And we put a guy in charge of graphics, Coach Harrison. Coach Harrison does a phenomenal job of graphics. Well, then, I was like, hey man, you're gonna be our graphic guy. He's like, all right. So, and then he took ownership of it because
Yeah.
I don't want to do the graphics. It's not my cup of tea. Do I know how to do it? Absolutely. I can go on Canva and I can make some graphics, and I can do that type of stuff. I know how to do edits. And I sent him some stuff. He's like, "Oh man, you really know how to do this stuff." Yeah, I do. Do I want to do it? No. I was like, "I got other stuff I can do. You can do it." And so then he gets into AI, and then he starts, buys a program on that, and so then he starts snowballing into that. I mean, and he does phenomenal stuff. Well, then I can congratulate him on that. I could post, "Hey man, shout out to Coach Harrison on his graphics. Doing a great job." Well, now that's a thing for him. I signed another guy recruiting. Well, he writes thank you letters to all the coaches that come on campus. He writes them a handwritten thank you letter. Well, that's a way for him to promote himself to all these college coaches that are coming through. As well as just that type of stuff. I think the more you can do those type of things and put them in places to where you're using their strengths and
Yeah.
allowing them to be successful is the great ways to promote your coaches to be successful. And then the other thing that you have to do is you have to have those conversations with your coaches and be true to it. Is that if you can help them, help them. I had a coach this year that he was interested in a job down in the Cypress area, and so I knew the coach. Coach used to be at College Park when we were at Oak Ridge. I was like, hey, I know that guy. I was like, I don't know if he still remembers me, but hey, let me uh, got his number. Shot him a text, like, hey, this is Compton. I was OC when you were over at
Mhm.
College Park, and
Yes.
I
Yep.
got a receipt. I got a receiver coach that's interested in your receiver job. He's a good guy for us. Hey, if you get a chance, just take a look at his resume. I'd be happy to talk to him. Absolutely, coach. I remember you. Your offense was one of the hardest ones for us to stop. This and that. I'll give your guy a call today. There you go. And I mean, did he get the job? No. But, you know, did I do my part to help him get his foot in the door? Absolutely. And now that coach, he was happy that I helped him out for that because I held true to my word. And I think that's a great way to help him out. Would have sucked if I would have lost him? Yeah, it wouldn't have been great for me. Did I want to lose the coach? No, but
Yeah.
is that where he wanted to? Is that an area that he wanted to get to? Yes, and so it's my job as a head coach to try to help put him in a situation to where he wants to be.
I think too, man, just hearing you say that, that brings about a loyalty too. Speaking from a head coach position as well as an assistant coach position, I think that brings about loyalty, man, because now that assistant coach sees it, you know, my head coach is not saying, "Oh, it's all about me and my program and this and that." Like, no, no, I want to help you develop as a coach, and any way that I can help you develop, like I'm willing to do that. Like even
Yeah,
losing you to help
yeah,
you, like taking the chance on losing you to help you. Oh man, then now those guys are gonna go above and beyond for you because you've shown that type of loyalty. And so, those things are rare. And when you do those types of things, I've had a couple situations like that, down the road. And like at the time, like I'm just thinking, like to me, like that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to help your people, right? But
right.
then like the coach is like, man, like it made a difference. I was like, man, that's awesome. Like, I didn't like that's what you're
Yeah,
supposed to do. Like you're supposed to help your people. Like if you say like I'm with you and we're family and I'm for you, no, bro, I'm gonna go above and beyond to help you. That's what you do.
yeah, absolutely. And you know, it, it's tough, because there is a chance that, he goes, yeah, man, he's a knockout. He's like, I want that guy. And then now you have to go find the next guy.
Yeah.
But, if that's what's best for him in that situation, him and his family, and that's
Yeah.
what you're about, and if that's what you're promoting, and that's what you're truly about, then that's your obligation as the guy in that position is to help put him in that situation.
Yeah. And I'm gonna before I go to the next question, I'm gonna throw this example out there. You and I, we had a principal that we worked for before, um, Tommy Johnson. I'm gonna send a shout out to
Hmm.
him, and love that guy, love what he was about. There was one thing he always said to the staff every year, and I looked forward to hearing him say it because I knew like that was his thing, right? He always said, he laid out the expectations like here, we're gonna take care of kids, we're gonna love kids with a smile on our face, we're gonna do it right, and he laid out those expectations, but then he said this, like, if that's not what you believe in, like, let me know and I'll help you find somewhere where you can be happy, right? Because I
Hmm.
don't want you to be here and not be happy because that's on me, right? And so I was like, man, like that's huge. Like that's huge
Yep.
for somebody to say, hey, like not just say, hey, this is what we're about and this is what we're gonna do, but then to go above and beyond and say, hey, now, like this is what we're gonna do. Now, if you don't believe in that, then let me help you find you a different place where you can be happy. Because this is what we're gonna do at this place. you know.
Absolutely.
And so, like, man, I love that, right? So it gave me permission to just love kids with no ceiling. Like, let's go.
Yep.
like, I'm with
Yeah.
it.
Rush used to have that one there too in the coaches' expectations that, and it
yeah,
was always in there. It was always kind of like in that last line. It's coaches' expectations, and this is how we do things. And if you don't want to do things like this, there's a lot of jobs in the state of Texas, then I'll help you find one.
yeah, that's it. That's it. I mean, and but coming from the people that we are, and I'll speak for myself, but I think you're the same way. Like, man, I appreciate real.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
that's
that's what I enjoy working for and working with. Just be who you are. And if
yeah,
and if that's not what if my personality isn't what you like working with, that's okay. Maybe we don't mesh. That is okay. Maybe you're gonna mesh better with somebody else. but maybe somebody does like working with you. And, it's one of those things. You're not going to mesh with everybody.
Yep.
There's people that are going to mesh better with other personalities and things like that. And it's about finding the right fit for you. And that's what, so like, kind of back in that first question, what's the optimal one? It's really the collection of the group of guys that are, or females that are together at that time, at that place. The optimal one is the one that works best for that group, and having all of them believe in it at the same time. And, because what works for my coaches right here and works for us right now, you know, is that the only blueprint that works everywhere? No,
Yeah.
because I tried to take someone else's blueprint and use that, and it didn't work because my person parts of it work, but my personality doesn't fit in some of those things.
Yeah.
Like we talked before, I can't be Derek Rush. I'm not like stoic and I love Derek Rush. Derek's my dude, man. But Derek ain't gonna go into the locker room and jack around with the kids and laugh and play and stuff like that. That's my personality, and
Yeah.
we're just different in that aspect. And and the next coach is gonna be a little bit different than me. And it's what works best for you and creating that.
I love it, man. You talked about helping, your coach with the job, and we've also talked about like different scenarios. And to me, as a head coach, I think one of the toughest things is like you want to help and you want to promote your coaches, but then how do you replace quality people, right? That being one of the toughest things to work through, especially now in these times, with lots of positions open, lots of things changing, lots going on. Talk on that a little bit, man. How do you handle, a coach leaving, if you will, and then, even above that, how do you handle a coach leaving late,
Yeah.
late in the year?
So there's a couple. It breaks down into really a couple different scenarios.
Yeah.
Uh, being it in going into 21 years now, is that you have the early move, which I'd consider like the before spring break
Hmm.
uh, type move, to where you're going to be transitioning there. Number one, and I always say this is if you're looking, talk to your head coach.
Yep.
Uh, talk to your head coach and talk to your principal. Let them know. Uh, just in courtesy. It's one of those things like, hey, I'm submitting my application here. Because our networks are huge, and you don't know who knows somebody.
Yes.
Uh, and that's the big thing is that they're going to be able to help you, and that's the big one right there. And so as soon as you lose somebody, which you don't want to lose them, but you're obviously going to lose them to promotion or for whatever it may be. uh we haven't had a whole lot of turnover here, but we have lost a couple. First place you look, you'd love to look inside. You'd love to look internal and see if there's a person that you can move from within. And then I'll talk about that here in just a second. Uh, and then if not, then you're going to reach out to your network of coaches that and see if there's someone that that you would love to work with, that you've worked with before, and reach out to them. Hey, man, we got this position. Love to see if you can get in here, check it out, and from there, it kind of works like that. Losing people late. I've only left one job late. That was this job. No, that was to come here. Uh, and before I even submitted an application, I kind of got a blessing from our head coach just to apply. It was kind of like, yes, you can apply. I hate you for applying, but yes, you need to apply. You know, Shout out to Coach Hoffman. He was good. He was like he he knew I needed to apply, but didn't want me to apply because he knew I was going to get it. That's kind of how he felt about it. It was like one of those type of things. And um, it was one of those late scenarios, and it's tough losing people late. But I think the best thing that you can do, and again, like I tell our coaches, if that's what's the best move for your family, I'm gonna support you. I'm gonna help you.
Yeah.
Just give you the heads up. The heads up is the biggest thing, and because there's so many moving pieces. Because now, when you're talking about it in June, is that schedules are set, and there's a little bit less wiggle room in those master schedules of getting people in. And that's kind of going back into the hiring piece, kind of circling back into that. What a lot of people don't understand, or I guess young coaches probably don't understand it as much, is that depending on the school district, sometimes like, one coach leaves, there's not like, you may be the best coach on staff to get moved up, but if your teaching field doesn't tie to the one that just left, I may not be able to bring you up. You may not be the guy that can make that transfer, or depending on how your HR works, the transfer process may not be as easy to bring from junior high to high school, or ninth grade center to high school. The transfer process may be a little bit different. You know, uh, it's not as easy as just like, hey man, that guy's good, I'm gonna bring him up.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work
Yep.
kind of like that. And trying to understand those processes, and just being a little bit patient, with that. But it's I think reaching out and trying to handle that as best you can. But I think just letting your head coach know that you are looking, and then for me, we really always set uh, personally, we always kind of set like a time that we were going to stop looking. When we got into the big schools, it was kind of like once we got into spring ball, that was kind of our time to stop looking. And so for me to take this job late, I was like, I was done. I told our head coach this kind of he was hot with me. I told him I was done looking. I wasn't applying anymore. I was committed, and then this one kind of came open late. Uh, and so that's why I went back to him, and he was like, "Well, you told me you're done," and I was like, "I was, coach. It's a great opportunity." And he's like, "Man," he's like, "I understand." He's like, "Go ahead and do it." And so just but to have that conversation, if he'd have told me, if he would told me no, I wouldn't have put in. If he wouldn't give me the blessing, because my loyalty to him was that as well. Because I told him that I wasn't going to put in anymore. If he would have said, "Coach, it's too late," you gave me your word, and I would be like, "You're right, Coach, I did." And so loyalty is a two-way street, and
Yeah.
I believe that, and so it'd have been tough, I don't know where my life would have been, how it would play out, you never know, but I think everything happens for a reason, and it did all work out. But I think just the earlier you can let those coaches know, because it's a lot of revolving parts
Yeah.
that start going into it.
I love to. I think one of the things I'll piggyback on is the communication piece. I love that. Like as you were talking about that, I was just reflecting on my journey in my career. I've always strived to communicate as well. I don't want to err on the side of over communicating and letting you know my intentions, right? Like I don't want you
Hmm.
to ever have to guess, like, is Chip Baker on the team? What Chip Baker's thinking? Like no, I want to communicate that with you. Like as a man, if you're giving me an opportunity, man, I got to communicate with you and let you know like where I'm coming from too, right? And so, man, that has
Yep.
truly been a blessing for me in my career, in my life, because people have really appreciated that. And I think
Yeah.
because of that, there's been some people that have gone above and beyond for me, just like you did for that coach, like you said, because they knew like I wasn't about like messing around. Like this is important to me. My word means everything to me. Like if I tell you I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do something. If there's a situation that comes up to where I can't do that, then I need to tell you that. Like, hey,
Yeah.
like here's a heads up, like this. And people appreciate that. And that comes back to you. And I also loved how you talked about the network piece. Um, as a young coach, you don't realize how strong the network piece is. Like, you know that you want to grow and learn and be better, and it's important to meet people and learn from those people. Like, you know that piece. But I think the piece that you mistake is like you're one or two people away from knowing every coach in the state of Texas, and it's huge. You know, like I mean, even
Yes.
I mean, just like with the job stuff, even like with the interviewing, like man, it's important to make sure that you strive to do things the right way because those things follow you, um, good and bad. You know.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, and I mean, you think about like just in general, like a networking piece. I mean, just for, you posted the picture the other day
Yeah,
of the character development. I
yeah.
mean, you take that back, what was that, like 8 years ago?
17. Yeah, 2017.
Yeah, 2017. And it's me, you, and Stephen Mackey, who's now like the character development guy for the state of Texas.
Yeah,
Us three standing side by side leading the character development at Oak Ridge. And I mean, I mean, he was coming down and doing like free ones at that time for like t-shirts.
yep.
Uh,
Gear and
it,
gas. That's what he
yeah, gear
called
and
it.
gas.
Yeah,
Yeah, at the very beginning, because that was like because the which is that's wild
yeah,
for it to be things like that. To see that network. And from here to Oak Ridge to this to that. Because people move around. I mean, and it's just literally, I had a guy, and again, we talk about like the late hires.
yeah.
I had a guy that left me late, and so I started getting some resumes in. And because it is late. I had a resume come in, and so the first thing I did is I called this guy's head coach off this resume, and I was like, "Hey, coach, I want to talk to you about so and so." And he was like, "Okay, what do you want to talk about?" And I was like, "Well, by the way you said that, I'm guessing he hadn't told you that he sent me a resume."
Yeah.
Like, no, he said, no, he hasn't. And I was like, well, kind of tells me what I need to know right now because that because it's so big to me. Because if that would have happened to me in that situation, now I know how that coach is going to feel, and so that's a big thing for me. And to me, that's part of doing things the right way. There's a right way to do things.
Man, that's like that little piece, what you just said, that whole statement, like it's so many levels to that. I'll just hit on like first with the picture of that you talked about, the connections. Like in that picture was, Mackey, Stephen Mackey. In that picture was Matt Davis, SMU, quarterback legend, who's now is a
Yeah.
pastor. In that picture were guys that I coached previously in Conroe at Conroe High
Hmm.
School that are great men, businessmen, all business owners now. Um, but those things don't happen going back to the beginning of this if you haven't created a family, if you haven't created that culture, if you haven't been a man of your word, if you haven't strived to do things the right way, like those things don't just happen, right? They don't just fall in place like that. But then fast forward, I think about the lessons that you and I, like, we both have sons, striving to be a positive influence, continuing to learn, as we know we don't know it all,
Right.
um, but man, those are great traits that are to be passed on. And I think that, I'll just speak me giving you kudos for what you've done throughout your career. Like, it's a blessing for those kids and those coaches and teachers and communities to be around a guy like you because those are things that's what you do. You know, like it's
Yeah.
not like I know I'm just giving you this, guys, try this. Like no, bro, like that's what you do, right? And
Yeah.
I think when you do those kind of things, as we've both seen, the blessings come your way uh, because you strive to do things the right way.
I think it's when it's genuine and when
Yeah,
it's like when it's that's who you are.
yeah,
A genuine person or someone that's trying to fake through it or those type of things. I think that's when you truly do get the buy-in of the staff. You know, and I think that's where you do get the retention. In the staff. And I think that's why. Luckily we haven't had a whole lot of turnover. It's actually been like one position that has been the we had a guy leave, and it was more because of teaching. Was a secondary guy, and then I bring in a guy to replace him, and then he gets a head coaching job, leaves, and then I bring in Rickland Holmes, who
yeah.
I'd worked with, at
Legend.
John Tyler,
Head
uh,
coach job.
and then he leaves to go get a head coaching job. Which thoroughly, big shout out to Rickland. Loved working with him this year. It was a great opportunity. We hadn't worked together for 10 years. Him being able to come down and spend some time together was awesome. And so loved working with him this year. It was probably one of my funner years, just being able to hang out and bounce some ideas off of him. I have to tell you some stories offline. Uh, on that one. And but no, but I think that is huge. And when you're genuine about it, your coaches are going to buy in, and they know that they don't have to worry about when they make that call about something when their family or something that they have pressing. They don't have to worry. There's no question in their mind of how you're going to handle that, or how you're going to. It's not like, oh well, I don't know if coach will let me go watch my kid play today. Or I don't know if coach will, let me take my kid to school on Friday morning. Take your kid to school. We got you. It's no brainers. Just like you were saying, go watch your kid play. Rush used to
Yeah.
let me. Rush used to let me. I get up there early. And then Rush would let me go watch Tristan and Levi go play football over in Klein, and it wasn't that big of a deal. You can get your work done. It's the people who don't get their work done. Those are the frustrating ones. And then that goes back to there's a lot of jobs in the state of Texas. I'll help you go find one.
Yes, sir. Well, Comp, man, as we close, I'd love for you to get the opportunity to share with the audience where they can go follow you and check you out and show you some love in Hutto Nation, man.
Oh yeah, so I'm on X or Twitter or whatever it's called these days. At Coach W Compton is where I'm at on there, and then Facebook and all that other stuff. I get on there every once in a while. Will Compton, but probably X is the place to find me. And
There you go.
but yeah, Coach W Compton, not the other Will Compton. That's the linebacker from Nebraska. His Compton's a little bit different than mine.
A little bit. Okay, a lot. Hey, I was thinking as you were doing your deal, man, like if I could say if I could, I am gonna ask you if there was one thing, reflect on your journey as a player, reflect on your journey as an assistant coach, and reflect on your journey as a head coach, right? If there's one piece of advice that you would give that guy that has done all of that to make an impact in the profession, what would that be?
Ooh, wow, that's deep right there.
Yeah, man.
Ooh,
And it don't have to be one. So let me take some pressure off. Just give me what you got.
I mean, if I was to reflect back, the probably the biggest one would be you don't know it all, so listen more. You know, it's coming in. And I see it now, and I know I was the same way. Is that I thought because I played football, because I was a coach's kid, I knew football, and knowing football plays and knowing football is two different things. Because, or I should say, knowing football plays and being a great coach is two different things. Because being a great coach is relationships and learning how to develop those. is completely different than knowing how to run GT read or when to call that play. Those are two separate things. And you have to listen and you have to spend a lot of time on learning how to do that part of it. And it wasn't until, later in my career, probably around the John Tyler, getting around Coach Rush, uh, that I really started reflecting back, being around you, that I started getting better. Did I always have good relationships with kids? Absolutely. I was a, players coach type of guy, but having better relationships and more meaningful relationships and things like that, uh, you know, was a little bit later in my career. And, more impactful, I guess, more impactful relationships was definitely later. So, I think, listening, leaning on mentors would definitely be something that I would go back and do a little bit better job of.
So good. So good, man. Well, as we close, I just want to say again, and thank you so much for, how you do what you do. Appreciate you, appreciate our relationship that we have, and I wish you continued success.
I appreciate that. Hey, you see that jersey up there, don't you?
I know, man. I saw
You see that
it.
outside? See JoJo up there?
I love it, man. So good, man. So happy for him.
Oh yeah,
Yep. Well,
he's a
thank
good
you
one.
guys for checking out this topic session. We'll see you next time. God bless.
Appreciate it.
Go get it.